All right, Bruce, time for our final thoughts here tonight.
Well, we wanted to have a little fun with our final segment as we all kind of contribute on this one. And I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about someone whose name doesn't really get mentioned a lot. That would be Dennis Schroder. Okay. You guys might remember 6 degrees of separation. It's the theory that any two people on Earth are connected by 6 or fewer social links, meaning a friend of a friend link connects us all. Using the example, let's say, of Michael Jordan, he can be connected to basketball inventor Dr. James Naismith in just 3 links. Jordan played for Coach Dean Smith at North Carolina. Smith played for Coach Fogg Allen at the University of Kansas. And Coach Allen played for Dr. Naismith at Kansas. Now, in today's NBA, it's not so easy to connect anyone to Dr. Naismith, but Dennis Schroder has played for so many teams and had so many connections that it is possible. It's his 13th NBA season. He's with his 11th NBA team. In order, he has played for Atlanta, OKC, the Lakers twice, the Celtics, Houston, Toronto, Brooklyn, Golden State, Detroit, Sacramento, and now Cleveland. So how do we connect Schroder back to Dr. James Naismith in 6 degrees? Well, here goes. Schroder was teammates with LeBron James in LA. James worked with Pat Riley in Miami. Riles played for Coach Adolph Rupp at Kentucky. Rupp played for legendary coach Fogg Allen, who played for Dr. Naismith at Kansas almost 120 years ago. So to review, Naismith to Allen to Rupp to Riley to LeBron to Schroder. 6 degrees of separation from Dr. Naismith to Dennis Schroder, Ross.
Well done there, Bruce. And you would think that someone who has played for 11 teams in 13 seasons, including being traded midseason 4 different times, would not be as accomplished as Schroder, a 32-year-old 6'1" guard. In addition to his NBA career, he has also been a top international star, winning the MVP of the 2023 FIBA tournament and again in the 2025 Eurobasket tournament for his native Germany. While his current role with the Cavs is the least prominent of his NBA career so far, would anyone be shocked to see him on someone else's NBA roster next year, making it 12 teams in 14 seasons? I wouldn't. I think he could definitely get there. And if he does, he'll go ahead and tie Ish Smith for the NBA record of playing for 13 different franchises in a career. World B, what's your thoughts on all of this with Dennis Schroder?
Well, in looking it up, I found a couple of interesting things about it. First of all, he's not even the active leader for most teams played. That belongs to Garrett Temple, who is now on Cleveland and showing up. He played for 12 teams and has actually been in the playoffs so far in this series. So he's actually played, I think, in every game so far, albeit just a few minutes at a time. But he's there. And the other thing I noticed about Dennis Schroder, looking it up, there's been 12 players who have played for 11 or more teams in the history of this league, and none of those players have played for the Knicks. So I don't know what that says, but I just happened to look it up. A lot of them play for the Nets now, I'll tell you that. So I mean that could be a good example of how the different franchises are historically been perceived. But that was what I found. I also found this. Dennis Schroder once played 20-plus games for 3 different teams in the same season. That's a neat trick.
Oh, wow.
Just last year with Brooklyn, Golden State, and Detroit.
Wow. I'm trying to think of some Knicks now that off the top of my head have to be close. Like Campaign, Landry Shamet. I don't know. There's a lot of guys, but that's a crazy fun fact.
It's a lot of teams. You have to play for a lot of teams. That's over a third of the league you played for.
Yeah, very true there. Hey, my one memory of Dennis Schroder is, back when I was with the Milwaukee Bucks, I used to pick up the draft prospects from the airport the night before their draft workouts. And Schroder was one of the more interesting stories and pickups I ever had. I met him down at baggage claim, and he had a flipped up, straight-billed hat, almost like Will Smith and what's that old school show called? I'm blanking on it. But
Fresh Prince.
Fresh Prince. He looked like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air walking into the Milwaukee airport, and we get in the car, and all this guy wants to talk about is how good is the nightlife in Milwaukee. And I was like, oh boy, young man, you have a lot to learn. The nightlife in Milwaukee is not much. if that's what you're looking for, this isn't going to be the city for you. But Dave Babcock, the NBA scout for the Milwaukee Bucks, 2 years prior to Schroder declaring for the NBA draft, kind of threw him on my radar. He knew I was always a guy that liked these high ceiling raw prospects from overseas or, collegiately. And he told me, he goes, I think I might have discovered a young international Rajon Rondo. And I got to give him credit. That's not a bad comp at the time. And of course, Dennis Schroder, as we've pointed out here tonight, has had a heck of a career, both in the NBA and internationally. So he turned out to be a great NBA player, all things considered.
He played briefly for the Celtics a few years ago, and I was never a big Dennis Schroder fan, but I really liked how he played when he was with Boston. He never, he was never somebody who was out there like, being a pig, when he had the ball in his hands, whatever. He played a pretty good game, and, he's, look, even though it's kind of weird to be on so many teams, what it does show is that people still want you on their team. When you become available, people want you. So that means you're bringing something to the table.
Yep. So let's keep an eye on that, World B. Maybe next year he joins the New York Knicks for his 12th different franchise.
Well, I'll be on the edge of my seat waiting for that one.
All right. With that will do it for this edition of the 48 Minutes podcast on Believe. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll be back with you next week. Be sure you're up to date in 48 on all things around the association. Take care, everybody.